What's up, everyone? Shakiel Mahjouri here for CBS Sports, and you know who this is. He fights Robert Whittaker in the main event of UFC Saudi Arabia on Saturday. In the minds of many, the top middleweight prospect climbing the charts, Ikram Aliskerov. How are you?
Я Икрам Алискеров, все хорошо, все отлично, все четко, готовимся к бою.
My name is Ikram Aliskerov. I'm good. Everything's great. We're getting ready for the fight.
Yes, sir. Now, I know you've done so many interviews, so I'm sorry if I rehash some of the same questions, but it's been a very crazy, like, 9, 10 days for you. What was going through your mind when you got the call and you received the offer to fight Robert?
Да, я понял. Да, эти дни были вообще, столько событий происходило в эти дни. Я был на весогонке, готовился к другому бою. Последний день позвонили, сказали, надо ехать сюда. Короче, столько событий последний день было. Последние 10 дней, не только меньше, даже какой 10 дней, последние 5-6 дней. Так что удивительное время это.
Yeah, what an interesting time. So many different things happened. I was already cutting weight for my previous fight. I was supposed to fight last week. I was preparing for a different opponent, and I wouldn't even call it 7 or 8 days. It's more like five, 5, 6 days. That so many things are happening. What an interesting time it is.
Was there any hesitation at all when it came to accepting the fight? You know, some fighters, like Arman Saryukian, for example, are very careful about the fights that they take when they take them, but you're taking on a former champion on such short notice. Did you give any thought to not accepting the fight?
А, Да, времени вообще очень мало, и плюс ко всему этому длинный перелет, много факторов было, которые усложняли эту ситуацию. Но мы бойцы, мы в этом виде спорта, и мы должны готовы быть ко всему. Это такой вид спорта, спорт возможностей, и ты не должен упускать свои шансы.
Yes, there was very little time to decide, very little time to prepare. But then also, if you factor in the fact that it's a really long flight, I was in Vegas, for me to get all the way over
Mm.
here, it's just, get time difference, time change. But this is the sport. We are fighters, we're professional fighters. We have to be ready for any type of situation. And even something like this, we have to always be on our game.
Do you agree with Robert's assessment that you are a harder fighter for Whitaker than Chimaev was?
А, Да, я как боец, может, UFC, я как-то 2 боя только, но я очень давно выступаю, я не считаю себя каким-то неопытным, потому что, да, по сравнению с Уитакером-то я не такой опытный, но определенные трудности я любому бойцу составлю. Поэтому в какой-то мере я согласен с ним даже.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been new to the UFC. I only have 2 fights in the UFC, but really I have a lot of experience in the fight game. So it's not that I have less experience that Whittaker. It's just maybe I'm not in the UFC just as long. But I think in some ways I agree with him because I have lots of skills, I have lots of experience, and I'm pretty sure I could be hard for any opponent.
Every time I interview someone, I like to look at their Instagram, learn about what they do when they're not fighting, and I'm always suspicious when there's a fighter like you, and it's just fight footage, fighting, training, fighting, training. Ikram, what are 3 things you like to do when you're not fighting and you're not training?
Я люблю отдыхать. Я довольно-таки часто выхожу на природу. Я очень люблю кушать на природе, готовить на природе, охота, рыбалка. Я очень сильно увлекаюсь этим. Но зачастую, когда туда эти вылазки бывают, я оставляю телефон в стороне, чтобы не отвлекаться. Потому что когда телефон в руках бывает, полный отдых не получается.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a big fan of rest. I like to be outside. I like to be outdoors. I like to hunt. I like to fish. I like to cook outside, and be outside and kind of enjoy nature. But a lot of the times when I do something like this, I tend to leave my phone inside somewhere. I don't take it out with me because,
Good call.
you don't get to enjoy yourself when the phone is in your hand. So I like to do that without, documentation.
I need to take your advice there. What's the biggest fish you've ever caught?
Самая большая рыба, которую я поймал.
Я понял. Так-то один раз случилось, что мы в Майами поехали на океан. Ну, честно говоря, не любитель такой океанской рыбалки. Я больше люблю речки горные, там ловить рыбу. Там особо больших рыб не бывает, там такой средний стандарт бывает.
Yeah, you know, one time when we were in Florida, we went fishing on the ocean, and you know, I'm not a huge fan of ocean fishing. I'm more of a, you know, kind of a calm, a river type fisherman. So it's just you don't get too big of fishes over in the river. They're more like standard regular size fishes.
Okay, okay, solid. I still like the motto there. Before we move away from UFC Saudi Arabia, I am curious, what are your thoughts on Khamzat's general health? You know, he started his career in the UFC so incredibly active, and unfortunately, it's just been one health problem after the other.
Да, наблюдать за Чимаевым было очень интересно. За ним было не угнаться в то время. Он резко-резко обошел, в то время, когда еще в Брейве, мне надо было свое поражение закрыть. Он после моего боя пошел очень далеко вперед. Ну, ему с самого начала мы приписывали чемпиона, потому что ту агрессию, ту манеру ведения боя, которую он показывал, это просто сумасшествие было.
Yeah, you know, he's at the beginning there, he kind of exploded up to the top and was moving straight to the top. And even in Brave still, when I lost to him, I had some fights that I have to kind of cover my loss with and make sure that I get back into the winning column. And he went into the UFC and he kind of shut up. And from the very beginning, we you know, we liked watching his career, and we knew that he's a future champion. So it was something that was kind of written for him. And it was interesting to see how fast that career was moving up.
If I'm not mistaken, you're a four-time World Combat Sambo champion, correct?
Если я прав, то
Э,
ты 4 раза выиграл мировые, да?
Два раза. Там какая-то ошибка получилась. 2 раза выиграл.
Two-time. Okay.
Two time.
How much of an advantage do you think that I don't know what that was, but I appreciate your enthusiasm, sir. Okay.
Well, I don't
How much of an advantage do you think that combat sambo discipline gives fighters over, you know, more traditional martial art, or sorry, you know, more one-dimensional martial arts like jiu-jitsu or wrestling or boxing?
Боевой самбо — это довольно-таки жесткий вид спорта. Там это тот же ММА, но ты просто этот кимоно снимаешь, и получается ММА. Но они как-то одевают кимоно, и чё-то правила меняется. Это потому что несравнимо ни с джиу-джитсу, ни с грэпплингом, ни с каким-то другим видом спорта. Это тот же ММА, только в кимоно.
You know, combat sambo is a pretty tough type of MMA. It's pretty much it's MMA, but you're in the gi, right? So then once you take off the gi, it pretty much becomes MMA. So there's a little bit of a different rule set, but pretty much you know, you can't compare it to like a one type of martial arts like a jiu-jitsu or something else. It's kind of its own martial art, and it's a very tough sport.
Every time I interview someone from your team, I always ask the fans for questions, and they always want to talk about and celebrate Abdulmanap. What, in your opinion, made him such a great teacher?
Мое мнение, всегда я говорю, у него большой акцент, очень большой акцент был на дисциплину. Больше на тренировочный процесс, дисциплину, потому что когда он всегда говорил: "Дисциплина бьет класс". Это его какой-то девиз был. По-моему, за счет этого, и такие результаты и получились у пацанов.
You know, I think the biggest thing about him, and I always say this, that he put a huge emphasis on discipline. He even had the saying that discipline always beats over class. So it was more important for him to be disciplined as opposed to, you know, super skillful. So I think that with that is something that all of us kind of took away from him. And I think that's what made him his own.
How would you describe Habib's coaching style? He seems like he can be a very tough coach to train underneath.
Хабиб, да, Хабиб тоже этого придерживается. Он тоже заставляет работать тот объем работы, который он сам делал, и не каждый с этим справляется. Но он многое принял у отца.
You know, Habib is kind of, you know, going down the same path. You know, he's all about discipline as well. And he also makes everybody else do the amount of work that he had to do or he has to do still. So it's not everybody can kind of compete or really just hold on to that same level of work that Khabib makes you do.
Last one on your teammates. There was some debate about who is the pound for pound best fighter right now, Jon Jones or Islam Makhachev. I'm on Team Makhachev at the moment. What do you think makes him such a great champion and difficult fighter to beat?
Конечно, Ислам Макхачев. Тут даже и спорить не с чем. Сколько раз Ислам дрался в последнее время, сколько раз Джон Джонс дрался. Да, Джон Джонс тоже отдаем должное, он великий боец. Но на сегодняшний день, судя по всем факторам, Ислам, безусловно, паунд for pound.
Yeah, of course it's Islam. There's no question about it. I mean, look at how many fights he's had in a recent history. You know, he's constantly staying active. Obviously, Jon Jones is a legendary fighter. You know, you got to give credit where credit is due. But just with the amount of work and the amount of activity that Islam has, I don't think there's anybody who can compete with his status.
Last one for you, Ikram. What do you think will be the bigger challenge? Fighting Robert Whittaker on Saturday or sitting in that 50 degrees Celsius Saudi Arabia weather wearing a t-shirt and a hoodie?
И то, как мне мой друг сказал, у тебя два соперника сейчас, акклиматизация и Роберт Уитакер. Так что надо с обоими справляться.
Yeah, both things. I think I know one of my guys said in the camp that you're gonna have two opponents now. Whittaker is one of them, and the other one is jet lag. You know, just to get acquainted with this climate and everything over here. So we're gonna fight both of them. We're gonna win both.
Okay, well, I hope there's air conditioning in the stadium. I hope you sleep well, and I wish you luck on your fight. Ikram, I want to let you have the last word, so very quickly on my part, thanks for watching, everyone. Subscribe, tap the bell, thumbs up. Give us your prediction, Robert Whittaker versus Ikram Aliskerov. That headlines UFC Saudi Arabia on Saturday. Ikram, if there's anything you want to tell your fans, the floor is yours, my friend.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Saturday, inshallah, we will win.